a lot of the women, we come from a rancho, from Jalisco. And a lot of the women, like, especially in the 60s, I mean, shit, we didn't have women rights in the United States until 1970 something. So this was before my grandma passed away, like, just to give you guys, like, a pretext of, like, the story, and how much of a fucking badass she is and she was. I'm making this episode too so my children so you can live on. So my children can, years later, see this episode, hear this episode, and find out who you were and who you are to me and who you are to our family. Welcome back, everybody, to the Lily Paulina Beauty Podcast. This is episode 6, season 1, and this episode is dedicated to my grandma. If you guys are seeing me on video, you guys are gonna see the tattoo of my grandma that I got years ago. It's not, I don't know, maybe a lot of people get their grandmas done, but my grandma's really, really special to me. So this episode is dedicated to her, and it's called What My Grandma Represents to Me. So my grandma, and this is my dad's mom, since I was very little, I have always been really intrigued by her story. So, little backstory, my dad lost his mom and this is like, before I go any further, if you guys are sensitive, if you guys have lost children, this episode is going to be about death, about my daughter that passed away, and my grandma that passed away very gruesomely. So if you guys are sensitive, or you guys are, to like anything that you guys have been through or trauma, like, just warning you. And it might be a little bit of a heavier episode for you guys today, so I totally understand if you guys need to skip it. But I felt like this episode has been like a long time coming, because it's very fitting for the end of the year, because 2024 is around the corner, and I am so excited for it to come and start with such a clean slate. This year has really pressured me into going more into the relationship with God and get to know myself. And I have found like a whole new like self-love and self-respect for myself. And along in that journey, I've learned to be more graceful with myself. And really, this podcast is going to be a weekly podcast at 7 in the morning on Wednesdays. It's just been a little bit of a learning curve starting a podcast. It's something I've never done. We're streaming on Apple and Spotify. You guys are showing up, dude. Every Wednesday you guys are asking, and I really appreciate it. We are going to be consistent. Like, I already recorded most of the rest of the season, so it's just like going to be auto release, which is really exciting and huge for me, because the word of the year, if you guys recall from my last episode, it's either like something I've been implementing, the phrase of the year or the word of the year. And the word of the year for me for 2024 is consistency. And it's really one of the biggest reasons why I feel like God really wanted to push me to start this podcast, because it is a weekly thing and it is a consistent thing. So because I was operating for the longest time under survival mode. And these past 3 years, I really have been like, what's the word? I decided not to be in a relationship on purpose, because I really wanted to dive into the relationship of myself and build myself up to someone that was going to be living a life that she could only dream of. All the pain for me has always been such a fuel in my life, because I've gone through a lot of painful things, But I feel, and back to my grandma, this is just like, I feel like you pick up stuff from your family, from your heritage, from your environment, from your community, from your friends. And the women in my family are just built different, like, period. So my grandma represents my hero. Like, I never met her, but I have had a relationship with her in spirit, like, for a long time. Like, I don't know, I just feel like she's one of my guardian angels. And it's not like this ongoing dialogue that I have with her, but she has been very present in my life. And I feel it's because she loves her children. And, she loves my dad. And my dad lost her when he was 5 years old. So my grandma, RIP grandma, I'm making this episode too so my children can, so you can live on. So my children can, years later, see this episode, hear this episode, and find out who you were and who you are to me and who you are to our family. So my grandma died at 36 years old in Mexico, pregnant with her 13th kid. My grandpa, ROP grandpa, my dad's parents, was working, like a lot of men were working in the norte, leaving all their family in Mexico to come and make better money here to send back. I think it was around the Bracero movement, if I'm not, no, because the Braceros I think were in the 1940s, and this was in the 1960s, so I don't know, but there was definitely some type of contract between the United States and Mexico to, like, hire for months at a time, and then they come back and stuff. So with that being said, a lot of the women, we come from a rancho, from Jalisco, and a lot of the women, like, especially in the 60s, I mean, shit, we didn't have women rights in the United States until 1970 something. So this was before my grandma passed away, like, just to give you guys, like, a pretext of, like, the story, and how much of a fucking badass she is and she was, in spirit and in this world, So she got ran over by a semi-truck when she was 8 months pregnant with her 13th baby, coming back from an errand. She had, like, left her children working, the animals. This was, like, my dad was working. He was already 5, but that's just how it was, like, back in the day, like, from the, like, as soon as you were able to, like, help out, they would have you help out because literally you're living out in a ranch, like, rancho life, like sierra, like dirt, like, like creeks and no electricity, no running water. Like, you had to go on a freaking burro to the closest well to get water to bring back home. Boiling water to take a shower type of shit. And I'm so thankful actually that I, like, was able to experience that because my dad has a house in Mexico and my mom's family has a house in Mexico. So, I mean, now one of them is, like, more up to date, like, electricity and all that good stuff, and it's been, like, invested in. So there's no more, like, having to heat your water, but yeah, it's different. So just kind of giving you guys the pretense of, like, why my dad was working at 5 years old, I know it sounds like different. I'm not going to say what it sounds like because everybody has different perspectives, but I know that my grandma, to the best of her ability, like, loved her kids, and this was how she knew how to take care of them. Like, her husband was gone for months at a time, and anyways, my grandma, when she died, when she got killed, like, she already owned land as a woman in Mexico with money that she had worked. She already, besides the land, owned animals that she had worked with her children. All those like years and months that my grandpa was away. She had the first store in the ranch, so when she passed away, like, she left her children property, two businesses, and cash, like, but they worked their butt off, all of them. And all my, like, both of my families I come from very hardworking people, and people that own businesses and have lands and have animals, like, but they have all of that because they have worked there since they were little, so my grandma represents the mom I want to be for my kids. Like, I think, like, you have no fucking excuse. Like, no excuse. If your grandma was able to buy property, start a business, buy animals and flip the animals, have two businesses while she was, like, pregnant with her 13th kid in Mexico, like, you have no fucking excuse. Consistency is the name of the game, you guys. And again, one of the biggest reasons why this podcast is happening, right? Because it's going to push me towards my next thing and my next thing and my next thing. But you have to build your base. And I've been building my base for the past 3 years. When I became single, like, during COVID, with my daughter, with not being able to operate my business, like, the last thing I was thinking was to be in a relationship. I had just, like, found out that I had, like, pre-cancer cells in my cervix before I got pregnant with my daughter. So she was a high-risk pregnancy, which is so fucking crazy because just 10 years before I had lost my daughter, because of a high-risk pregnancy. At almost 6 months of pregnancy, I went into early labor when I was in beauty school, and my water broke and she didn't make it. And I feel like that was one of the other biggest pushes in my life, because it was such a huge pain that I remember being so mad at God. But, like, I knew deep down in my soul that I was mad at myself, because there was no way that I would be able to take care of my daughter right after high school, trying to graduate beauty school, with a partner that was lost in the fucking world. I couldn't count on. He was totally deep in his pain, like, doing the best that he can. I don't want to talk, like, bad about my ex at all. No judgment here. Like, we're all doing the best that we can, Yeah, I remember I was going to the cemetery for a while, and I find myself months without going to visit my daughter because it's really hard. It's really hard. Like, I can't think about it too much, because once I get into my head, it starts unraveling. Like, I can't go there. I cannot go there. Like, so I just keep on going, and the reason that I have some peace in that is because I remember one night I was going to the cemetery and I was, like, yelling at God, and I was drinking, like, but I was just like, how can you, like, let an angel die? Like, my daughter, like, like, she has no fault. Like, like, I just felt like such a failure because of her death. It was really heavy on me. It was really, really heavy on me, because I remember, like, when I was going through labor, my body wanted to go through labor, but I was, like, in my mind and in my heart, I fucking knew that as soon as I would, like, let my body go through the full, like, labor, and ladies, you guys know what I'm talking about if you guys are moms. When you guys are having a vaginal delivery, it's it's nature. It's the body just, you can't, once it starts, you can't stop it. Like, it's a force of fucking nature, life, you know? Starting to happen with delivery and stuff and labor. And I was not letting my body go through labor. I was like, nope, no, because I know if I let her in my, like, you know, if she stays in with me like another month, she'll be stronger. She'll be able to have a better chance of making it. And the doctor had to like put me to the side and tell me, like, first it was a nurse. She was like, honey, like, you're going into labor. We need you to like let go, you know, and like let your body go into labor, because it was like starting to be like not healthy for me, because my water had broken like 2 days before that. And I remember I told her shit, and I feel so bad because I was really mean. But I know she meant well. I know she did, but you guys gotta understand, like, she was telling a mom to let go of her daughter. And that's literally what I told her. I'm like, you're telling a mom to let go of my daughter. I will never give up on my daughter. I will never give up on my kids. And I remember seeing her reaction, you know, her facial expression and stuff. And then my husband, well, we weren't married at the time, but my ex-husband, and the doctor came, and like he told me, he's like, babe, like, you gotta let her go, you know. And I knew I did, but it was just hard. It was hard. And finally, like, I remember, like, after he told me that, there was just like my soul kind of like accepted the situation, I think. And she, you know, she passed away. She gave me her first and last breath, and she passed away. And I remember being like so fucking hurt. On top of all of that, I freaking get a hemorrhage, and thank God they stopped it and everything. And I like had to stay in the hospital. We like baptized her and everything, and she was with me for the 2 days that I was recovering in the hospital. And I remember telling my mom, like, Mom, like, this fucking sucks. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here anymore. And she said, mija, pues ni modo. Te tienes que aguantar. Porque tienes a tu hijo esperándote en la casa. Todavía tienes a alguien que te está esperando y tienes que estar bien. And I remember I felt like let down by my mom at the time, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. Like, moms know. And I have, like, my mom and I have had our ups and downs. Like, I feel like looking back now, like, how could we not? Like, I left my house at 14 years old, you know? But I'm just so thankful because I have been doing the work, but my mom has been doing the work as well. And our relationship is like night and day. And I'm just so thankful for my mama. I don't know. Just the women in my life are built different, you know? Like, when I was in the cemetery, I remember I was like trying to be mad at God. And then I felt like he was with me, and he was just like letting me throw a fit. I remember I was drinking that day. And then it was almost like, okay, have you had enough now? You know? And I remember almost feeling like I didn't say anything, but in my head I was like, yeah, I'm done being mad. Because deep down I knew that at 18, 19 years old, pretty much a single mom with a 3.5-year-old, and I couldn't take care of my daughter. You know, like I was finishing beauty school. Like, not even, I think I was working like at Victoria's Secret at the time or something while I was finishing school and stuff. There was no way I was going to be able to afford 2 kids at that age, going to school full time, working part time, you know, like there was just it's looking back almost 12 years later, almost 13 years later, now that I have my Lily Bell, like, no, 10 years later, actually, because Lily Bell's going to be 3. I feel like, I don't know, I never really thought about reincarnation or anything like that, but there was so many similarities with the pregnancy, the situation with my daughters and their, like, dads, and just the timing of it all, you know, that sometimes I feel like I got my daughter again. And I don't know, like, when I started this healing journey, because, you know, I was like going through a lot of stuff that I really like was unrecognizable to myself. Like I told you guys on episode 1, when I kind of finally saw the woman in the mirror 50 pounds later. So I had to, like, I knew I had some work to do, but I never thought that that would have meant being 3 years single, losing 50 pounds, rebranding my business. God took me from an apartment to a 3-bedroom home to giving me a full team. And so when God said, like, have you had enough? I think I finally was able to have a conversation with my daughter that night. And I pretty much asked for her forgiveness. And I told her that I wasn't going to let her death go in vain. And that I was going to work my butt off to get me and my son out of that lifestyle, out of being another teenage mom statistic, you know? So 13 years later, I have my own business. I live in a house with my kids on my own. I have a full team. I'm a celebrity artist. I've been an educator for like 7 years for the fastest growing color company in the world. And I'm just so thankful that God has given me a chance to make it up for my daughter. And I feel like I've gone distracted out of the way, like choosing like wrong partners. You know, like learning from running a business, you know, because I really, really wasn't running a business before. I wasn't measuring anything or anything like that. So all of this has brought me to this, where I'm like going back to my grandma's story once again, feeling called back to remember who she is, and realizing that I haven't even started to scratch the surface. So back there, I don't know if you guys can see, but that's my vision board for 2024. That's been up there for like a month because I've been really trying to be clear. Clarity is power, you guys. And I wasn't clear of where I was going after all these little like redirections that I've been having. But because I haven't been drinking alcohol, because I've been eating clean, because I've been going to the gym, like, I'm feeling like it's building momentum, you know? Like, it's been losing the weight, cutting people off, you know, building consistency, like all these things, you know? And I just got clear on it, like, I think it was yesterday. So there's like a bunch of squiggly notes on there, and I'm about to like fix it up with images and stuff like that. So yeah, I want to leave it here, you guys, letting you guys know that the fire's fucking back. I'm really starting to see like more and more who I am, how God sees me, how I want to show up, obviously after the 2024 vision board that I just did. And I'm so fucking juiced, you guys. I'm so juiced because I'm built for all this shit. I'm built for all this shit. And I feel like the past 5 years, I kind of forgot that, you know, because the people I was around, like, I was always like, go, 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 driving to LA. Like, this was before I got pregnant with Jackson and Lilybell, you know, doing all these things. And people were always telling me, like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. And when I got pregnant with Jackson, of course, I just knew, like, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I feel like I was just, like, letting that be my truth. Like, I'm doing too much to kind of put in, like, make something work that just clearly God did not want to work for me. And I am, like, I'm feeling like more and more like myself. And I don't want to say like my old self, because even then that I was doing all those things, but I was in those rooms of celebrities feeling like I wasn't good enough to be there. And now, like, for 2024, you guys, I'm so fucking excited because I'm gonna take a few badass classes I've been wanting to take. I'm gonna fucking put on my fucking student hat on. I'm gonna humble myself a little bit and freaking sacrifice a few things, build some adversity to myself, like, to fucking get there, dude. I have badass goals for quarter 1 and 2. I'm so excited for you guys to see it. Los dejo with this in mind, with my word of the year being consistency. Please comment down below what your word of the year or phrase of the year for 2024 is going to be. Until I'll see you guys next Wednesday for episode 7. Mwah. Merry Christmas.